In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, sometimes life feels like a tightly clenched fist holding on to things, people, and moments we should have released long ago. We clutch onto memories, wounds, and regrets, thinking they define us. But my dear brothers and sisters, Allah reminds us in the Quran, perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you, and Allah knows while you know not. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:216. I remember meeting a brother who had lost his job unexpectedly. He was devastated, questioning why Allah had taken away what he thought was his stability. Months later, that very loss pushed him into starting a small business that not only provided for his family but inspired others. He said, with tears in his eyes, if Allah hadn't closed that door, I would never have seen the one he opened. Life is a series of arrivals and departures, blessings and trials, openings and closings, and in every change there is mercy. The heart that truly believes knows that when Allah takes something away, it's not to harm us, but to guide us towards something better. Imagine trying to sail a boat while still holding on to the anchor you will never move. To move forward, you must let go, and to let go, you must trust. So today, let us reflect deeply. What are we holding on to that's weighing us down? A grudge, a missed opportunity, a person who has already moved on. When you release it into the hands of Allah, you are not losing, you are making space for His blessings. And when you finally let go, you will feel it, that lightness, that calm, that reassurance, as though Allah Himself has lifted the burden from your heart. Because indeed, He has. The wisdom of letting go is rooted in trust in Allah's plan, and this is a lesson that touches every heart that has ever felt loss, disappointment, or change. In our lives, we often find ourselves clinging to people, situations, or dreams as though they are the very foundation of our existence. We believe that if we can just hold on a little longer, things will work out the way we want. But in truth, this is where the heart becomes heavy, because it starts relying on its own limited vision instead of the infinite wisdom of Allah. Trusting Allah's plan means understanding, deep within our souls, that He sees the full picture while we only see a fragment. It means accepting that what feels like an ending could actually be the beginning of something far greater than we imagined. Many times, the pain of letting go comes from thinking that we are losing control, yet in reality, we never had control to begin with. Every breath we take, every moment we live, is written by Allah, and every turn in our journey is perfectly aligned with what He knows is best for us. When you place your trust in Allah, you begin to see events not as random acts of life, but as carefully measured moments of divine wisdom. The job that slipped away, the friendship that faded, the opportunity that never came, these are not accidents. They are part of a plan so precise that even the smallest details are accounted for. Imagine a child who insists on holding onto a broken toy while the parent is trying to give them something better. The child may cry and resist, not realizing that their parent's intention is love and care. In much the same way, we sometimes resist Allah's plan, holding on to what is broken because we cannot yet see the gift He is preparing for us. The believer's heart learns to release with faith, knowing that Allah does not take except to replace with something better, whether in this life or the hereafter. Trusting Allah's plan also means accepting His timing. We live in a world where everything is rushed, and we are conditioned to expect instant results. But Allah's wisdom unfolds at the perfect moment, not a second too early and not a second too late. Sometimes we are not ready to receive what we ask for, and so Allah delays it until our hearts, our faith, and our circumstances align with His decree. Other times, what we ask for is not given because it would harm us in ways we cannot comprehend. Trust requires humility, the ability to say, "O Allah, you know and I do not. You see and I cannot. You are the best of planners." This is why the Prophet taught us to say in our dua, "If it is good for me, make it happen, and if it is not good for me, keep it away from me and keep me away from it. The greatest comfort of trusting Allah's plan is knowing that His mercy is always greater than our mistakes, His knowledge is always greater than our understanding, and His love for His servants is more than we can ever imagine. Even in moments of confusion, when the road ahead is unclear, the heart that trusts Allah finds peace in the simple truth that nothing happens without His permission, and nothing is withheld except for a reason full of wisdom and care. When you understand this, you stop questioning why certain doors close, because you believe that the one who closed them has a better way prepared for you. This is not passive surrender. It is active faith, a conscious choice to walk through life with your hand in Allah's, allowing Him to guide you where you are meant to be. Holding on to pain only delays your healing, and this is a reality many of us experience without even realizing it. We go through hardships, the betrayal of someone we trusted, the loss of someone we loved, the collapse of a dream we built our hopes upon, and instead of allowing ourselves to release the hurt, we cradle it as if it is a part of who we are. We replay moments in our minds, analyze conversations, and keep reliving the wound over and over, thinking it will somehow give us closure. But in truth, the more we hold on to pain, the deeper it seeps into our hearts, affecting the way we see ourselves, others, and even life itself. Pain that is not released becomes like a thorn embedded in the soul. It may be small at first, but over time it festers, affecting our spiritual, emotional, and even physical well-being. When we refuse to let go of hurt, we unknowingly allow it to dictate our thoughts and choices. We begin to filter every new experience through the lens of our old wounds. A person who has been betrayed might find it difficult to trust again, even with those who are sincere. Someone who has faced failure might hesitate to try again, fearing another disappointment. This is the heavy chain of holding on to pain. It restricts our movement, slows our progress, and prevents us from embracing the blessings Allah places before us. It is like carrying a backpack full of rocks while trying to climb a mountain. The journey is already challenging, but the unnecessary weight makes it far more exhausting than it needs to be. In the Quran, Allah reminds us of the importance of inner peace and trust in His wisdom. He says, "So, verily, with every difficulty there is relief. Verily, with every difficulty there is relief." Surah Ash-Shar 94, 5-6. This is not merely a statement, it is a divine promise, but relief cannot enter a heart that is already filled with bitterness and resentment. The healing that Allah has written for us is always near, yet it requires us to make space for it. If the heart is cluttered with anger, sorrow, and regret, how can the light of relief find its place? Letting go of pain is not about denying that something hurt us. It is about refusing to give that hurt the power to define the rest of our lives. I once met a sister who had been deeply wronged in her personal life. For years, she carried that pain, and it showed in her eyes, her tone, and her interactions. She admitted that she thought letting go would mean she was forgiving too easily or forgetting what happened. But one day, she realized that holding on was not punishing the person who hurt her, it was punishing her own heart. Slowly, she began to shift her perspective, making dua for Allah to remove the heaviness from her soul. Over time, she noticed how her prayers felt lighter, her smile became more genuine, and her energy returned. She didn't forget what had happened, but she stopped letting it control her. The truth is, pain is a part of life, but suffering is often a choice we make by holding on to what we should release. Allah, in His infinite mercy, calls us to trust Him with our pain, to hand it over in exchange for His peace. Just as a wound on the body needs care, cleansing, and protection to heal, the wounds of the heart need to be opened up to Allah, cleansed with forgiveness and patience, and protected from the whispers that keep us trapped in the past. When we release pain for His sake, we are not losing anything, we are simply making room for the healing He has already prepared for us. Every loss hides a lesson and every ending opens a new door, though in the moment it may not feel that way. When something dear to us is taken, we naturally feel the sting of absence. It could be the departure of a loved one, the closure of a long-cherished chapter in our lives, or the disappearance of an opportunity we had long prayed for. In those first moments, it is hard to see anything beyond the emptiness left behind. But over time, if we look with the eyes of faith, we begin to notice that Allah never removes without replacing, never closes without offering another way, and never allows us to experience loss without planting within it seeds of wisdom. It is in these quiet, often painful moments that the soul is taught lessons it could not have learned in comfort. The Quran reminds us of this truth in the words of Allah, ****, it may be that you dislike a thing and it is good for you, and it may be that you love a thing and it is bad for you. Allah knows while you know not. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:216. This verse is not merely a consolation, it is a guiding principle for life. It tells us that our understanding is limited, but Allah's knowledge is perfect. We see only the immediate moment, while Allah sees the past, present, and future all at once. Sometimes, what feels like a loss is in fact Allah's way of protecting us from something harmful. Sometimes an ending is the very thing that pushes us towards a path we would never have taken otherwise. I recall speaking to a young man whose dream was to study abroad. He worked tirelessly, applied to several universities, and invested all his hopes in one particular program. When his application was rejected, he felt as though his world had collapsed. Months later, a political crisis erupted in that very country, and he realized that Allah had saved him from being caught in the chaos. Instead, he pursued a different program closer to home, where he met people who deeply impacted his life and faith. What he thought was the death of a dream was actually the opening of a door that led to growth, safety, and blessings he had never imagined. Loss teaches us resilience, patience, and the art of gratitude. It strips away the illusion that our lives are in our control and brings us face with the reality that everything belongs to Allah and returns to Him. It humbles us, reminding us not to take people or blessings for granted. And it strengthens our connection with the one who never leaves us. Endings, no matter how painful, have a way of preparing the heart for something new, sometimes a better opportunity, sometimes a deeper understanding, sometimes a closer bond with our Creator. When a chapter closes, it is natural to grieve. Islam does not ask us to suppress our emotions. Even the Prophet wept at moments of loss. But faith teaches us to look beyond the tears, to seek the wisdom hidden in the trial, and to trust that the one who writes our story knows how to bring forth beauty from even the most difficult scenes. Every time something is taken, it is as though Allah is gently turning our face away from what would not serve us and pointing us towards what will. And while we may not see it immediately, the day often comes when we look back and say, if that had not ended, I would never have reached here. Patience and reliance on Allah are the keys to moving forward, and they are among the most beautiful qualities a believer can cultivate. Life is filled with moments that test our limits, times when the heart feels heavy, the mind feels restless, and the path ahead seems unclear. In such moments, patience is not just about waiting for the storm to pass. It is about trusting that the storm itself is part of Allah's mercy and wisdom. Patience, or sabr, is mentioned in the Quran more than 70 times, a reminder that it is not a passive state but an active form of worship. It is the conscious choice to remain steadfast, to keep faith alive in the heart, and to continue moving forward even when every step feels heavy. Reliance on Allah, or Tawakkul, goes hand in hand with patience. Tawakkul is not about doing nothing and expecting Allah to do everything for us. It is about exerting our best effort while trusting the outcome entirely to Him. It is the balance between action and surrender, between striving with all our might and accepting that only Allah can bring about the results we hope for. The Prophet taught us that if we were to truly rely on Allah, He would provide for us as He provides for the birds. They leave their nests hungry in the morning and return full in the evening. The birds still make the effort to search for food, but they do so without fear or doubt, knowing their sustenance is in the hands of their Creator. Patience and tawakkul are like the two wings that carry a believer through trials. Without patience, we become restless, making hasty decisions that may harm us. Without reliance on Allah, we carry the crushing weight of trying to control outcomes that are not in our hands. But when the two work together, the heart finds a sense of calm even in uncertainty. A person who trusts Allah knows that no matter how difficult today is, tomorrow is written by the same Lord who has carried them through countless yesterdays. This trust transforms the way we see challenges. They are no longer seen as punishments, but as opportunities to grow closer to Allah, to purify our hearts, and to strengthen our faith. I remember meeting an elderly man who had faced the loss of his business, his home, and even his health. Yet, when I spoke to him, he radiated peace. I asked him how he remained so calm, and he smiled, saying, "If Allah has taken these things from me, it means He wants to replace them with something better, maybe not in this world, but in the hereafter. My job is to keep walking, and His job is to guide me." His words stayed with me because they reflected the essence of patience and tawakkul. He did not deny his hardships, but he refused to let them steal his trust in Allah. Patience requires practice. It grows when we remember the stories of the prophets, how Nuh preached for 950 years without losing hope, how Ibrahim stood firm even when thrown into the fire, how Yusuf remained patient through betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment before being raised to honor. Their lives remind us that patience is not about avoiding pain, but about enduring it with faith, knowing that Allah's plan is unfolding in ways we may not yet see. Tawakkul ensures that in every step we take, whether in ease or difficulty, we keep our reliance on Allah firm, believing that He will never abandon those who place their trust in Him. True peace comes when the heart surrenders to the will of its Creator, because only then does the soul find rest from the constant turmoil of trying to control what is beyond its reach. Human beings naturally desire certainty, stability, and a sense of control over their lives, but the reality is that every moment is in the hands of Allah. When we fight against His decree, holding on to what He has taken or chasing what He has not written for us, the heart becomes restless, anxious, and heavy. But when we surrender not in defeat, but in trust, we begin to experience a deep sense of peace that cannot be shaken by changing circumstances. This surrender is not about giving up effort or ambition. It is about aligning our hearts with the reality that Allah's plan is always superior to our own, and that whatever He wills for us is filled with mercy, whether we understand it now or later. The Quran tells us, ***, indeed, it is in the remembrance of Allah that hearts find rest. Surah Ar-Ra'd 13:28. This verse reveals that peace is not found in possessions, people, or achievements, but in the state of the heart that is connected to its Lord. A heart that remembers Allah in both hardship and ease knows that He is always near, always listening, and always guiding. Such a heart does not panic when trials come, because it understands that life is a journey towards Him, and every twist in the road is part of the path He has chosen. This surrender that brings peace is the kind that allows a believer to say with full conviction, "Whatever Allah has willed has happened, and whatever He has not willed will never happen." I recall speaking to a sister who had faced repeated setbacks in her personal and professional life. She told me that for years she struggled with frustration and sleepless nights, always questioning why things were not going according to her plans. Then one day, during a particularly difficult period, she read the story of Musa and the trials he endured being placed in a basket as a baby, growing up in the house of Pharaoh, fleeing for his life, and later returning as a messenger. She realized that what seemed like a chain of hardships was in fact a carefully orchestrated journey that prepared him for his mission. That reflection changed her perspective. She began to approach life with a mindset of surrender, telling herself that even if she could not see the reason for her struggles now, one day she would see how every moment fit into Allah's plan. With this surrender came an unexplainable calm, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her heart. True surrender does not mean life will be free of pain, but it does mean the heart will no longer be at war with itself. Instead of battling with why and what if, the believer begins to embrace Alhamdulillah and Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This mindset allows peace to settle even in the middle of chaos, because the believer knows they are exactly where Allah wants them to be. The Prophet taught us to be content with whatever Allah has decreed, reminding us that contentment is not the result of having everything go our way, but of trusting that everything is going Allah's way. When the heart accepts that the pen has written and the pages are turning according to His wisdom, fear begins to fade, anxiety loosens its grip, and peace takes root deep within the soul.